Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. You had a nice weekend. So I guess we'll start with the risk calculation. We'll go to the QDB scores. Just to say is that we are a little bit risk off technically because we're measuring these indices and your things like the VIX, the Treasury yields, and the dollar, and it's indicating a little bit of risk off. And we've got some fundamental stuff that's going on in the world from China, and they've got like a property market crisis, I guess you could say. It's like an issue. So it's possibly going to send some a little bit of risk off mood that's going to come through into Europe and the US potentially. But technically, we're slightly risk off. Out of 100, we've got 29. So it's quite bearish. And then also the herd have gone long ever so slightly on the 24-hour difference. So note where the USD is. It's in the strong buy section with the Swiss franc CAD. Pound hasn't done anything. It's sat on its vertical. The herd have gone long, Euro, Aussie, and Kiwi. Okay, so potentially AU, Aussie USD, or New Zealand dollar USD. You could look to buy the USD against those two potentially, but would want to see a continuation of the risk off theme because these are risky currencies. Okay, and it's interesting that they're positioning quite similar. So that's good, and the safe havens should be clumped together, and the risky currencies should be together, and these two are. So that's of note. QDB scores. Let's reset that. Refresh it even. So G8 top and NU bottom. Like I said, NU got a little bit more gas left in the tank, but we're very extreme now. 90%. Wow, okay, so we're probably going to have to squeeze those people out, I guess. I didn't realize how long they were on NU. So this should be falling, so that's fine. Remember, we should be seeing green up here and red down here. So we've got something that's out of bonk, CJ. So that could be going up, but maybe you want to be careful with the yen because the yen, it should appreciate in a risk-off environment, but we can see it sort of acting quite strangely now. And you've got to be careful with the yen. Also, sometimes it tracks the dollar yen as well. So that might just look at this for direction. This pumps, it might just come up. So on the QDB scores, it's got a good score. So maybe it can come up, but I still would be careful with yen. I'm not touching it at all for some time because we should probably be seeing some more normal moves. But it is quite stationary and it's quite stubborn. Technically, sentimentally, it can do okay, but maybe the fundamentals not so good because if we go risk off, the yen probably should appreciate. So you've got to be careful with the yen. I'll tell you the AUDJPY. So we'll start with gold. And so I mean, they went long here. So this is what I mapped that box here. So we've got like a doji here. So, well, they went long-ish around about there. So this is going to be resistance. So it fell. They got paid a little bit, and then it fell again. So I wouldn't really be looking for longs because the fact that we're long, they're long at the big picture. We're above 50%. So you want that one to tick down in order to become a risky buy, and then you want to see it continue down into the green area. And also technically, it's quite ugly as well. Fundamentally, the US Treasury yields are pumped. They've gone really quite aggressive, and because of that, it's going to put a little bit of pressure on gold. So, if the US Treasury yields are pumping, it doesn't really spell a good fortune for gold normally. So we've got the fundamentals, sentiment, and the technicals as well. I was wondering, we might get a diagonal break. Potentially, I don't know if it's going to let me draw this line, but we could argue we've got a few respects of this. You've got 1, 2. Okay, admittedly, this bit's not really great, but also had a fake out there, which then got sold off quite aggressively. The reason for that to be sold off is because at the big picture we were a sell, and they'd sold it, so come up, and that's the reason for that little spike. So a bit tricky with gold. So remember the things that I line up for selling, but it all depends what happened here. If they sell it against this MA and then they continue to sell, this would be the bottom, and then we'll come up. Go was 500. And so we made a risky sell because they've gone long. Because really, you know, at the big picture, we should be buying the dips, but if they're buying as well, we've got to be careful. So really, I guess it will depend here. We're going sideways, so it's going to be tricky to say what's going to happen. If they sell it, then yeah, you can look for a long 4449 stop loss potentially, but it will depend what happened there. So it's hard to say what's going to happen. They might continue to buy it. If they do, then we'll fall. So at the moment, you know, we've got a box we could probably map here. So they went long on this. We should be below 4459 really. Let's draw a little box. It's a very thin box, and so we should be below this rectangle because they've gone long. All right, so this might be a bit naughty here. So I think we need to be below this box, but we'll have to wait and see what happens here. It's going to be impossible to say what's going to happen until it's happened. So we need to keep an eye on that if you're trading this instrument. Yes, Freddie. RDP is a lot quicker today. It's quite nice. I was struggling last week. Now this is horrendous price action, so you've got to be really careful. You know, you're looking at like 300 pip move, you know, in the space of a few hours. So you can make lots of profit, or you can do a lot of destruction for your account. So you've got to be really careful. If it was me, I would just be watching this from the sideline. They're gonna probably make a risky sell. So if we do get the crossover, we'll have to map a box and it'll be a resistance. But we have to wait for the crossover first, okay? And so just choppy as hell, that is. Really horrible. And then lastly, DAX. I'm not sure why my RDP is a lot quicker. It might be because I've closed Chrome. You see that Chrome is closed. And that might be why, because it was hogging a lot of resources. So I'm going to be using the Edge for the API stuff for the spreadsheet. DAX. So they've gone long. So we can probably map a box here. Yeah, this blue candle, this one, I guess. So this would be a resistance. And it's actually quite responsive. So I think, I'm not sure what Google Chrome was doing, but it was using like 80% of the RAM. It just wasn't right at all. So potentially we might come up to this box. So it's, you know, I could say it's a little bit of payday, but really they went long here. So really it's not payday. They got pretty destroyed. Quite a big move there. So I guess it will have to wait and see what happens here. But they're going long. So this current move's probably a bit phony. But like I say, they've been punished from there. So I think if we get here, it'll get to their break even, and then we might fall again. And 16,000 is obviously a big psychological resistance too. Robot, and these are our current positions. So AJ long, EG long, AN long, and we'll just have to see how we go. Remember that we've got rid of the trading stop, because what we're allowing it to get to its full SL, but we weren't allowing it to get to its full TP. So we've got the trading stop off now. So if any luck, we'll actually get to TP, and more regularly than the SL, because of the logic of the retail sentiment. And it analyzes the QDB scores, and it's looking to buy retracement. So it's trying to buy AJ because of its score. It should be quite high according to the QDB scores, and that's why it's trying to buy that. And these are the SL TP. And don't forget, these are the dynamic 80% ADR SL and TP. So it's quite wide stops, but then, you know, we've got a wide take profit. So like I say, we have to see how we go. So I'll wrap up now, and remember to trade safely. And this might be worth noting, this has increased. So we were at 85, 87, 89 last week, and the retail guys at MyFX Book, they've really increased their volumes. Instead of like reducing volume and taking profit, you know, maybe withdrawing money to their bank accounts, it looks like they've funded their accounts and they're putting more money into the casino. And see, this dollar CAD has increased a lot as well. So they're actually getting quite heavily involved in the dollar CAD. and obviously this would be normal, the Euro USD being the most volume. So it's worth noting that it looks like they funded their account over the weekend. Right, so be careful, and I'll speak to you guys later today, or if not today, then I'll speak to you tomorrow.